What's going on there, guys? So today is the day. I've had a lot of people asking ever since I put out the short in which I had one of the Jeep tires in this balancer, and I think I kind of got the hang of it enough to actually explain how it works. So we got the wife's other car. It is a 2019 GMC Terrain in on the lift. I've got 4 tires to put on it, and today I will explain to you guys how this machine works. This is a Bare Precision dynamic balancer. As far as how old it goes, I'm not exactly sure how old it is. The best resource I found on it is a Popular Mechanics article from 1972, and in that article they did mention that this was like the official balancer of IndyCar or something from like the 1940s and 30s into the 70s. This is extremely old technology. Best I can guess is this machine itself is probably from the 50s. But this is it. This is what they had versus a bubble balancer. If you were doing dynamic balancing off car, it was this. So I will go ahead. We're going to mount up 4 tires, and I'm going to walk you through how to use this machine. Well, here we are. We got the car up in the air. So now we're going to peel the wheels off of it. Over here, we're going to use the tire changer to mount the 4 tires onto the wheels. I've already explained how to use this machine in the past, so I won't bore you with another tutorial. You can find that video. I'll link it down in the description. But we'll go ahead and just breeze right through this, and this way we can get into the main part of the video and explain how that balancer works. Alright, so we got to find out which one of these here adapters fits these wheels. So first, I've got a couple of adapters that are like this, that'll sit into the lug nut holes. They're a fixed bolt pattern. I'm going to check. That's too big. Let me try flipping it over to the other side. Oh, look at that. Bingo. That side fits in the lug nut holes. Alright, so we know that the right side of this adapter fits these wheels. Next, I gotta figure out which kind of adapters to make it all fit on that shaft. But if you didn't have one of those that fits that, you would grab... Oh, where is it? There it is. You would grab this adapter. Well, this adapter, you'd hold it up to the hub and you would turn it, and what would happen is eventually you'd find the bolt pattern that it fits in, just like that. And you can use an adapter like that with a bunch of these lug studs like that to fit the wheel. But I'm going to go ahead and use that one because I know it fits that wheel. Alright, so we got the adapter. I'm going to take that shaft. It's where kind of what seems to help if you almost had 3 hands to do this, but that evolution hasn't come through yet. Alright, take this. Take that shaft with all the adapters to make it work, and then we shove it through the middle of the wheel. And we're gonna get it lined up. And now we need a cone to fit on this side to center the wheel up. Alright, so here's the whole setup. And here we got the adapter that'll go into the lug holes and whatever spacer material it takes to make that work. There's a bearing on the end. Over here I found a cone that works. There's a nut that'll squeeze it all together. We'll tighten those up once we put it into the machine. We've got a roller bearing that's got to go on the end right there. So now that wheel is ready to get put into the machine. Alright, so we are going to pick this up and put it in. So you'll see there, I'll show you in a second, there's two like horseshoes that the roller bearings ride in, and you just set the wheel in the machine. Now what I'm looking for is you almost want the wheel, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but just eyeball center in the machine before you tighten it down. This wrench and this wrench, and what you're going to do, there's two nuts on the machine on this shaft. There's the two large nuts, and you can use those to adjust where on this shaft everything's squeezing together, so you can set it up to find where it needs to be in order to be centered. As I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do have it pretty well eyeball center. These little lids, they would close. Let me show you how this is all set up. So as I said, that bearing's riding in there. And this bearing over here rides in there. This knob here would engage and disengage the drive of the machine. And there's a little, hope you guys can see it, there's a little rod right there. And when it all lines up, it's got these two nubs that stick out. That lines up with corresponding grooves in that shaft, and that's what will cause the wheel to rotate. But as you can see, it's not perfectly centered, but it's good enough for what we need to do. So now I'll go ahead, I'll close everything up. There's these little doors. These doors close in like that, and over here like that. And they got these little turn locks here to lock them down. That'll make sure that the wheel itself doesn't bop and come out of the machine while we're using it. And we're gonna get ready to turn it on and start balancing a tire. Alright, so with the wheel chocked up in here, first thing we're going to do before we turn this on is we're going to back these knobs out. And I will explain what these knobs are going to do in a little bit, but you do need to have them backed out all the way. So now we're going to be able to go ahead and flip the machine on. You see it starts spinning. This wheel has quite a bit of a wobble to it. So what you're checking is you want to see, you're looking for the wobble in the shaft that is mounted on. Be wobbling about left and right. And that right there will tell us which side of the wheel is out of balance. Now I found on these newer wheels, with the way they're offset, it's a lot of times it's the inside bead that'll be more out of balance. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this side. You can see this side's got a bigger wobble to it, so this is the side we're going to start with. So what we're going to go ahead and do is turn this knob in slowly until we start to hear and see the spark coming out of this dial. You know what? Let me go shut the lights off so that we can see better. There we go, now we can see better. Back it off some. It goes away. Turn it back in. I'm getting it sparking between the 9 and the 0 for the most part. And you could try to fine tune this. I'm going to say I'm more on the 9 than anything else. That's where I'm going to put weight. Looking at that wobble, yeah, that's probably not that much. We're going to start with a 1/2 ounce of weight. Let's see what happens. So if you look there, you can see 9 on this little dial wheel there. This indicates 9. That corresponds with that spot on the wheel. And I put a 1/2 ounce there. We're going to spin it back up. And we're going to see if the wobble went away or if it got worse. One thing about this machine, there's a lot of trial and error in it. Because you really don't know how much weight you need. And over time, you can judge by how much the shaft's wobbling and kind of guesstimate, like, all right, that much wobble, I need another 1/2 ounce. So I'm starting at a 1/2 ounce. I'm not paying attention to what the lip is doing, because that's not, it matters, but it doesn't matter to this machine. That's just how much the wheel itself is out around. What matters to this machine is how much that shaft is bouncing side to side. And if you look, that shaft in and of itself really is not bouncing all that much. But we are still clicking on the 9. Because what you're doing with these knobs, there's a little electrode in there and you're basically adjusting the gap. And so as you turn the gap closer and that shaft's wobbling back and forth, it'll all of a sudden start being able to jump the gap. And that's where you start hearing the clicking going off. And when you look here, the numbers on this wheel correspond to the numbers on that wheel. So these sparks are telling me where I need to put weight, not necessarily how much weight I need to put on. I know it doesn't look that great here, but that's actually pretty decent. But we are actually running in slow speed. So with this handle this way, that's slow speed. So I'm gonna go ahead, grip that handle down. We're about to put her into high speed now. Let it spin up. And you'll actually see it smooth out. Now we're running on high speed. I would say this wheel is probably good right here, just about that. I could maybe play with it a little more, but in all honesty, if you play with it more, it's just, you're kind of going to start chasing your tail. We're not looking at the most precise calculating system here, so, but we'll go ahead, we'll shut it down, it'll spin down, I'll take it out, I'll dismount that tire, and I'll put another wheel into its spot, and when we're done, we'll see which ones look like they're spinning the best, and the two best ones will go on the front, and the two worst ones will go in the back. So that is the Bear Dynamic Tire Balancer in action. That is how I have figured out to use it. I would love to find somebody who's actually around when this was a brand new machine and tell me if I'm right or wrong. That is just how I have figured out how to use it and make it work. As I said, there's a lot of trial and error to this machine in the knobs and everything, and getting the wheel set up in it properly so that it'll balance. Usually about halfway through doing this job, this one included, you'll kind of be like, this is never going to work. Just trust that it'll work. Because so far I have used this machine on 3 different vehicles, and every vehicle, it looked like they weren't going to balance out, and then I road tested it, and it road tested just fine. All the way up to 70, no vibrations. Trust the machine will work, and it is old, but it does work. The nice thing on this machine, it is all mechanical. There's no computers, no nothing to go wrong. There's nothing that needs recalibrating. The machine just works. Plain and simple, it just works. So that is the Bear Dynamic Balancer in action. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button. If you'd like to support the channel, please smash the subscribe button. I'll catch you guys on the next one.